It's a feeling that creeps in, a subtle but undeniable change in the atmosphere. You can't quite put your finger on at first. The woman who once beamed, her entire face lighting up the moment you entered a room, now offers little more than a distracted glance before her eyes drift back to the glow of her phone. The daily rituals that built your connection, the good morning texts that started her day, the inside jokes that peppered your evenings, have faded into a hollow silence. The warmth and affection that once felt as natural as breathing have now evaporated, leaving behind a cold emptiness that makes you question if it was ever even real at all. This shift is disorienting, a quiet earthquake that fractures your sense of reality within the relationship. In this confusion, your mind races for a reason, desperately trying to pinpoint where you went wrong. You conduct a brutal audit of your every action, replaying arguments and conversations, searching for the moment you failed. Was I not attentive enough? You wonder, did I work too much? Did I not tell her I loved her frequently enough? Maybe I didn't fight hard enough. For her, this line of thinking is a natural, painful response, but it's based on a fundamental misconception. The brutal, counterintuitive truth is that her declining value for you is rarely about you stopping your efforts. More often, it's a direct result of you starting to try too hard. Somewhere along the line, a critical inversion occurred. You ceased being the prize, the centered, capable man with his own mission and identity that she was initially drawn to, and instead became the one pleading for her attention, seeking her validation, and orbiting her world. You began to negotiate for a love that should have been a given. This shift in dynamic is devastating because it operates on an emotional level that logic can't penetrate. When a woman's fundamental respect and attraction for you erode, it renders everything else meaningless. The years of shared history, the personal sacrifices you made, the depth of your love, none of it matters. She will begin to treat you as disposable, as a man she has already learned to live without. And that realization, more than any other, strikes at the very core of your identity, making you question your own worth. Of course, here is Chapter 2, expanded to approximately 400 words. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. Confronted with this chilling emotional withdrawal, a primal panic takes hold. The instinct to fix, to solve, to bridge the growing gap becomes overwhelming. This is the male response to a problem. Identify the issue and apply effort. So, you spring into action, but it's a desperate, misguided action. You begin to overcommunicate, drafting long, heartfelt paragraphs dissecting your feelings, pleading for a return to how things were, hoping your eloquence will make her see the man she's pushing away. You might start initiating more contact, double texting when replies are short, calling just to check in, your voice laced with a neediness you don't even recognize in yourself. The grand gestures begin. You buy the flowers or the gift you think will remind her of happier times. You cancel plans with your friends, making yourself constantly available on the off chance she might want your company, signaling that your entire world is now on standby for her. You reminisce aloud, trying to rekindle the spark by verbally walking through your shared past. A tactic that only highlights the stark contrast with the cold present. You are, in essence, pouring all of your energy into a black hole, hoping the sheer volume of it will somehow fill the void and win her back. The tragic irony is that every single one of these actions, the begging, the explaining, the gifts, the constant availability, doesn't communicate what you intend. You think you're showing dedication, love, and commitment, but what she actually sees is fear, insecurity, and a lack of options. You are confirming her deepest, perhaps subconscious, suspicion that you are afraid to lose her. You are no longer the strong, grounded man she once admired from a place of respect, but a man whose stability is entirely dependent on her validation. And nothing is less attractive than a man who is afraid. Women are repelled by desperation. It signals a lack of core strength. This creates a vicious, self-defeating cycle. The more you try to prove your value through frantic action, the more value you lose in her eyes. Your effort, devoid of the foundation of self-respect, becomes wasted energy, draining you of your dignity while only cementing her perception that she can indeed live without you, of course. Here is Chapter 3 expanded to approximately 400 words. Asterisk, 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 V. Instinct to fill the silence with words, to mend the tear with action, is the very impulse that seals your fate. The counterintuitive but powerful alternative is to do the opposite of what every panicked nerve in your body is screaming for you to do. Embrace complete and total silence. This is not a passive surrender. It is an active, disciplined strategy of withdrawal. It means you consciously stop rewarding her indifference with your attention. You cease explaining your worth to someone who has deliberately chosen to devalue it. You end the begging and the negotiations for basic respect. Instead, you pull your energy back into yourself. You become quiet, composed, and emotionally unavailable. This strategic silence is powerful because it operates on a level deeper than language. Words are tools that can be analyzed, debated, and dismissed. They engage the logical mind, which, in an emotional standoff, is already closed for business. Silence, however, is a vacuum. It creates an absence where your presence, your attention, and your validation used to be. It forces her to sit in the emptiness she has created. She can easily argue with your points, but she cannot argue with your absence. She can dismiss your pleas, but she cannot dismiss the void. This disruption is jarring. She expects the chase. Her entire new dynamic with you is built on the expectation of your predictable reactions, your panic, your arguments, your desperate attempts to win her back. When you refuse to play that role, you shatter the script. You introduce something she hasn't calculated on: uncertainty. This uncertainty breeds curiosity and often a low-grade anxiety. Questions begin to form in her mind that wouldn't have existed if you'd kept talking. Why isn't he chasing? Did I go too far? Is he moving on? This mental and emotional engagement is where the dynamic begins to flip. The silence becomes a mirror, forcing her to confront the consequences of her own behavior without you there to absorb the impact for her. It is in this quiet space, devoid of your noise, that she is finally given the room to potentially feel the weight of what she might be losing. You are no longer trying to convince her. You are allowing the situation, for the first time, to speak for itself. The most critical aspect of implementing silence is understanding that its power is entirely dependent on your internal mindset. If you deploy silence as a covert tactic, a short-term play designed to provoke a specific reaction from her, you will fail. She will sense the inauthenticity, the calculated waiting, the constant checking of your phone, the underlying desperation for her to notice your absence. This turns your silence into just another form of begging, a passive-aggressive maneuver that screams of weakness rather than strength. It will backfire, confirming her belief that you are manipulative and insecure. True transformative silence is not something you do to her, it is something you do for yourself. Must be an external reflection of an internal decision. Comes from a place of reclaimed self-respect, a conscious choice that says, I no longer invest my energy where it is not valued. This shift in focus is everything. You are not sitting in a dark room waiting for her to call. You are actively rebuilding your life without her as the central character. You are re-engaging with your friends, diving into your work, hitting the gym, and pursuing your own goals. You are demonstrating, most importantly to yourself, that your world continues to turn on its axis without her validation. This principled stance leads to one of two outcomes. You must be emotionally prepared for and accepting of both. First is that your dignified withdrawal and evident self-focus create the contrast needed for her to reevaluate. She feels the weight of your absence and the shift in your energy, and she may return with a renewed sense of respect. The second, an equally valid outcome, is that your silence is met with permanent silence. She disappears entirely. This is not a failure. In fact, it is a profound success. It is the filter doing its job, revealing the absolute truth that her investment was so shallow that not even the shock of your absence could stir it. This outcome, while painful, is a liberation. It spares you months or years of wasted effort trying to resuscitate a connection that was already dead, freeing you to channel your energy towards someone capable of recognizing your worth without needing to lose you first, of course. Here is Chapter 5 expanded to approximately 400 words. ******. The ultimate purpose of this entire journey is not to win back a specific person, but to reclaim the most valuable thing you can ever possess, your own frame. Silence is the forge where this new, unshakable identity is tempered. The initial phase is agonizing. Feels like holding your breath underwater while every primal instinct screams for you to surface and fix the problem. You will battle anxiety, loneliness, and the deafening noise of your own thoughts, convincing you that you are losing her forever. But if you maintain the discipline, a profound shift occurs. The internal chaos begins to quiet. The compulsive need for her validation weakens its grip, and in that newfound quiet, you discover a liberating truth you had forgotten. Your wholeness and your worth were never dependent on her. Acknowledgement to begin with. This self-reclamation is the true victory, far exceeding the outcome of any single relationship. You stop being the man who orbits a woman, waiting for permission to feel valuable. And you become the man who stands firmly at the center of his own purpose, inviting others to join him there. This is the core of genuine attraction. A woman does not fall in love with a man who makes her his entire universe. She is drawn to the man who is so passionately building his own that she desperately wants to be a part of it. Your mission, your growth, and your peace become the main attractions. When you achieve this state, the external results become almost secondary. If she returns, you engage from a place of strength, able to see her clearly not as an idealized goddess, but as a flawed human being, and decide without desperation if she deserves a place in your life. If she doesn't, you walk away with your dignity and self-respect completely intact. Having already proven to yourself that you can not only survive but thrive without her, this is the indelible strength that silence grants you. It breaks the illusion that your value is something for others to appraise. You are no longer a participant in a game of approval. You are the author of your own story, and that unshakable confidence, forged in the fire of your own silence, becomes the most attractive quality you will ever own.